What's poppin', everyone? I know it's been a while since we've posted a video on here on YouTube, and today is going to be, we're gonna wash both cafe racers. And I get a lot of questions as to what does the process look like on washing one of these, because you know, you have a suede seat or Alcantara seat, you got the cowl, you know, things aren't necessarily watertight per se. You have pod filters or velocity stacks. How do you avoid getting water in the carbs? You know, all that stuff. So basically what I'm gonna go through today is the fun and the not so fun part of washing our vintage cafe racers that are fully built to spec. And let's get going. Obviously, you know, standard protocol with washing a car properly, or a bike in this case. But basically we have the red bucket, which is for only paint and, you know, wood, forks, whatever. And then we have the white bucket, which is solely for the real dirty areas like wheels, especially brake dust, all that stuff that you don't want touching the paint is in the white. So definitely consider keeping them separate. If you don't really care, you don't have to. I mean, if you don't have a perfectly painted brand new bike and you have a 75 CB750 with patina paint, you know, it's not really gonna hurt anything more. But what I like to do is, since these are all brand new and dialed in, I like to, you know, keep them separate, proper way, and use proper products that don't strip anything off and are not harmful to anything of that nature. So a couple ground rules that we have to go over before we wash or two bikes like this. And that is, number one, first and foremost, if you are running pod filters or velocity stacks, we have both in this scenario. Pod filters on the blue bike, velocity stacks on the purple bike. So what I do is, I'll show you, but I just get real careful when I'm using the water in that area. And before I ride the bike, I let it dry out for a little bit. Mainly, what you want to avoid is straight up dousing the filters with water. You know, if they get a little misted or a little wet, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure you're not riding it right after, because that water obviously will get sucked in. Not that it'll do anything, but it's good to avoid. Let it dry out, keep it in the heat, whatever else. Secondly, with the velocity stacks, which are on the 450, I actually, with these, you have to bag them up, because obviously there's absolutely no foam, no filter in between that and getting in the carbs. So what I do is I take a little plastic bag. I'll show you a close-up in a second here, but I take a plastic bag, wrap it around, tape it, good to go. Pretty much can get anything wet after that. Now, the second area where you want to be conscious of, if you have a similar setup cafe racer like this, is the seat and cowl area. All right, so all the electronics on these two bikes, the electronics are underneath the seats on both sides. And what you want to avoid is straight up spraying the water on the inside there. Of course, everything is water resistant, I would say, but I would not want my stuff, you know, drowning in water, or puddles of water. So that's one thing. Second thing is, on both of these seats, I run an Alcantara, which is a suede, which you want to avoid getting truly wet. So what I do is I just wipe on the outsides. I don't truly spray water. I'll show you how I do it, but I don't spray water directly on it. I just kind of get it wet and use the mitt that's wet on the frame rails and whatnot. And after that, you really don't have to worry about much else. Like the push button controls on the front on both of them here, I like to use my air gun afterward and blow it all out, make sure you know, nothing's being left over in there. But other than that, it's pretty much good to go. Without further ado, let's kind of get into things and get these puppies washed up. They're quite dirty. So I'm gonna bring you on a little walk around here. So what I mean by that is, see the foam or the Alcantara here, you want to avoid just spraying water on that. And then this, you know, I kind of just use the mitt. I'll show you how to do it. And then I use the mitt on like the frame rail. I don't actually touch the seat too much. And obviously here are the pod filters. You know, when you're spraying, just go light here, light underneath. And if they get a little damp, totally fine. Just make sure they dry out. And then the push buttons are right here, what I was talking about. And those, you know, just be conscious afterward. Just blow them out. No big deal. And here is the setup on the 450 with the plastic bags. See, it's pretty straight up. Plastic bags taped. Boom, no water's getting in. I can pretty much spray them as much as I want. No worry there. And then same thing here. I have suede Alcantara, and I'll just take the mitt, wipe the frame rail, not actually spray it anywhere over here. Show you guys, show you how dirty this is. You could see the brake dust. Look at that. Look at all that. So give them a wash. This is actually going to be the first wash on the 450 ever done. I have not done a wash on the 450, surprisingly. So the 750, of course, you could see it because the silver wheels, very dirty, very dirty, very dirty. You could see the dust everywhere. But so let's get into it. Give these a nice little wash. All right, guys. Now we're gonna kind of get into a little grit of things here. I've been slow on the YouTube. I know I've been real slow on the YouTube. That's because I'm still bouncing between Florida and the shop, which is in New York. But I try to make it work, and I kind of took a hiatus from posting on YouTube because of how much work it was and little results. I think I've kind of gotten the motivation back again. So we're gonna kind of go for it here, and this is an example of me just kind of giving it a shot because honestly, this is just personally, I think this is a good video topic because I've had quite a few people ask me about how to wash the bike, especially a cafe racer. So I know a lot of you have cafe racers, and obviously my page is mainly on cafe racers, but first of all, see how I'm kind of going light here, just kind of misting everything. Hopefully this is somewhat entertaining. I'm gonna try my best to get better and making it entertaining, but again, I don't do this every day, so it's kind of hard to get in and out of the groove, but I would love to see some comments below with some suggestions and maybe what you guys like, don't like, that I do or other people do, and I'll try my best to just create my own little style based off what you guys enjoy, and we'll go from there. We're gonna start with, of course, the tank. Get that all nice and clean. Now this bike hasn't been washed in quite some time. So what I kind of do is put my hand here to prevent all of the water going into the pods. I'll show you. I kind of just put my hand here. It's pretty tedious, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the best. It's probably better to block them up, meaning put some freaking plastic over them or some saran wrap, whatever. But I'm just going through, wiping everything. It's very straightforward. Like, it's really nothing to it. It's just there's a couple things that you got to do differently than washing your Harley, for example, or your stock CB750. There are some differences. So, yeah, guys. So I don't know if many of you know, but I am officially building a version 2 of this CB750, the ClubSport, what I call the ClubSport, and how you guys all know it as is the ClubSport CB750. And I have set out to essentially remaster it in all capacities, meaning engine, style, craftsmanship, framework, electrical work, everything. I'm going to try and up the quality as best as I possibly could. Which I gotta remind you guys, I mean, I've only built 2 bikes, and you're looking at both of them here, and of course, they look fantastic on video, and I appreciate all the love and support you guys give me. However, I do want to be really honest, brutally honest and frank with you guys. There are a lot of imperfections in the craftsmanship and work of what I didn't know and did as a first-time builder. And now I've built up enough courage, mainly, and confidence in my abilities and knowledge and contacts. I've met everyone to set forth and remaster this build and, of course, be for sale in the end. And that's super nerve-wracking, but also very exciting at the same time. We'll see how it goes, but essentially I'm going to kind of limit the amount of posting I do on it because I'm trying to keep it pretty mysterious in how everything's going to turn out, because I don't want to reveal too much because I don't know the timeline of when I'm going to be able to finish the bike because of me bouncing between Florida and New York, which is where the shop is. I don't know if any of you know that, but the shop is back in New York, which is where I'm from, So I've been bouncing between and trying my best to make things work with what I have at the time and the timeline I'm, dealing with. But really, I love this craft, and I cannot wait to share the MZR you know, style with whoever ends up acquiring, you know, the bike. But since this is drying out a little bit, we're gonna give this a little rinse. Okay, it's on light, very light setting of water spray, not too much, just getting the soap out. Now for kind of the final step here, guys. Some of you might not have access to an air compressor that's powerful enough, or even an air compressor at all, because for 3 years I didn't have one. But basically I ceramic coat my entire frame, bike, build, every part. And so it makes this job very easy. All right, time for round 2. This is officially the first bath for the CB450. Never given it one. And let's see how it goes. First, I'm gonna take this off because that comes off. Anyway, so let's just get this down. Now, remember, I like I said before, I do ceramic coat everything, so for whatever it's worth, you can kind of see how the wheels kind of bead off even with brake dust on there. I don't know, we'll see how this goes. I don't know what's waterproof, what isn't, so I did everything to spec, but you know how that always works when it's custom. Never really know. Get the rim, nice. A lot of you like this bike, not as much as the 750, which I understand. However, this bike definitely deserves a little love too, because it's pretty freaking solid. And this build was like marking the confirmation of like pushing the limits of my boundaries. That was the whole purpose of this build. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but you know, as a second time builder coming onto this bike, really wanted to see what I could do. What are my possibilities, you know? And sorry, I'm just trying to be careful here, not put too much water up in there. But basically, like, what are the possibilities? What can I do? What can I do differently to push myself, put myself out of my comfort zone, and really feel accomplished and ready to truly do a build for the people, which has been always my ultimate goal, is to build a bike that I design custom parts for and sell it. And that's exactly what we're doing. I will, you know, give you guys a little sneak peek. We are developing an entire parts kit for the ClubSport. So basically, anyone that wants to replicate the ClubSport, they can, only through, you know, the style, to truly be authentic through the parts we make, which will include a triple tree, some wheels. I don't want to go into too many details of what's what, but basically that'll give you an idea. Rear sets, foot pegs, all that stuff. So put it in perspective, expect some cool stuff on the 750 and what comes from it, because it's gonna be absolutely nuts. I am so excited to show you guys what I've been working on. I can't reveal anything quite yet, unfortunately, but in due time, my friends. This is the first wash, so I think this is gonna clean up really nicely. That's about it, guys. So we're just gonna go ahead and clean this bike. I don't know what's what, but we're gonna do our best, make it all nice and clean for you, and go for a little rip. All right, guys, I hope you found some value in this video. I know it was a little random, and I was kind of just talking off the cuff, but I figured it would be a pretty useful video for you guys to see how I wash these cafe racers, the MZR CSL ClubSport Lite and the MZR CS ClubSport. You know, nothing really to it, just there's a few things to keep in mind when you're doing it to prevent any future issues. But with that, guys, that's gonna wrap up this episode. Drop comments below with any advice, opinions on the video, anything in general. Honestly, guys, I kind of just threw this together, trying to get back in the groove because it's quite tough to stop and then continue. Anyways, guys, we're one team, one family, and as always, thanks for being the dopest community out there, and I'll catch you in the next episode.